when we say hot, that's warm, and there's when we say fear, there's no fear, and so on. So it's about not using the word with that have a polarity.
Yeah, like wonder. Wonder
Yeah.
doesn't really have a
Yes.
polarity charge to it.
Yes.
It's wonder is neutral. That's where the
Yeah.
miracle happens.
Mm.
It's almost like a there's a pendulum point, and it swings left and right in the binary, in the polarity, but the perfect balance point in the center is neutrality and wonder, and that's where the miracle happens.
But you're right, yeah.
Wow.
All the time I had that shirt, that hoodie, although it says no fear, but it reminds me of my fear too.
Yeah, it's like on the left side is fear and on the right side is love.
Mm-hmm.
But when you stop the pendulum swing and you just come to the center, to the
Then you
center
can feel
point,
love or not fear.
yeah, it's like love. Well, even the scriptures say love throws fear, casts fear out.
Yeah.
When you love it all, and then it becomes easier to be neutral. You're not judging. You truly love. Unconditional.
Judgment is the opposite of love. So you can either love or you can judge. But you can't do both at the same time. Like you said, love is unconditional and conditioning is judgment.
Yeah, wow. Unconditional.
Who has the most important birthday?
Hmm.
I had
Whose
a
birthday
judgment
do
of
you?
that.
Yeah, you have a Barb. Right? You were
My
in
answer,
Wonder. You were
my
in
answer.
Wonder. Yeah, your
If
answer.
they weren't born, I wouldn't be here.
Huh?
I guess ask
It's
me the
yours.
question.
Go ahead, Will.
I was just thinking that I guess when you ask a question, it helps prompt wonder, helps open things to possibility.
It reveals are automatic. Reveals the starting position.
Hmm.
Cue the question. Wow. Question opens to the quantum possibility of all that is.
We have to start
So,
thinking for ourselves.
so who in your circle, in your life, like whose birthday is most important?
Um, uh, I could answer that, but I know you wouldn't like my answer. And there's a judgment day.
You can't know what we like.
Yeah, because all judgment is self-judgment.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, like what? Why wouldn't I like the answer?
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, no birthday is important. It's actually the day of your death is actually more important because of who you have been your whole life is is a summation on the day of your death, because you're remembered based on who you were being for your entire life, rather than placing importance on a birthday where no one has actually been anything. They were just born. To me, there's not as much importance in just the day of one's birth as there is in the day of one's death, because of that reflection of who they were, the remembrance, the honoring of the person. So, yeah. So I don't celebrate birthdays because of that. And it's a belief.
Well, then would it be fair to say that your birthday is still the most important?
Only because I'm alive, but aside from that, it doesn't really have any importance to me. Like, for me personally. Like, I'm grateful, don't get me wrong, I'm grateful to be alive. But that day in and of itself doesn't really hold any real meaning for me. Aside from I made it out of the womb and I survived that.
Well, the birthday of the universe, but I don't think it into our calendar, because they would have a different calendar where it started, probably.
Yeah.
Here's my point: is that we're attached to our own birthday. Like whose ever birthdays is most important, it's ours. There's a barb to that. There's a trigger to that. And if we say, well, it's not our birthday, we're lying to ourselves. Because there's a child at the very inner core that wants to celebrate their birthday.
Not me, but okay. To me, it's a cultural thing. And that's why I said, you guys aren't going to like the answer. Because it's been a cultural tradition for who knows how long. And to be different.
Did you participate in that at all?
I never have, never once. And I still choose not to.
I was just wondering, as a kid, was it your choice?
Well, it was how I was raised, yeah. So it wasn't my choice, it was my parents' choice. And then I learned why after. But I didn't miss it because I never actually experienced it.
And you don't know what you've been missing.
Yeah, well, I didn't need to have that importance placed on me either. And even now as an adult, I choose not to, because I don't really need that focus being on me and the importance of my birthday. I would much rather, when I die, people look back and go, wow, there was someone who I loved, I'm going to miss him.
Why would we wait till you're dead?
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely.
That's what we do, these honorable things for people that have passed. We share their greatest stories and their great achievements. Why don't we do that while they're alive?
Why don't we do that now with each other?
Yes. Yeah.
What's
in 1,000 years, they'll be talking about you around the campfire. This is the legend of Will.
Is that what you would like, Heinz?
Nah.
No?
I'm just a drop in the ocean. You can't talk about the ocean without talking about me.
There was once this man named Heinz who lived in Denmark.
Who
he was
may or may not have lived in. It's 1,000 years from now. I want specifics, and they can't be sure. He lived here once. He lived once upon a time. He lived in Denmark, but we're not sure he lived all his life.
wow. You know what you guys just inspired in me is write your own eulogy of, you may not know your death day, but write your birthday, and you don't have to write your death day, obviously, but put your name at the top and go, this is to honor the memory of such and such, and then write out who you are or who you believe yourself to be and your accomplishments and the impact you created.
Well, then you're sure you'll have the last word.
Yes. This is who I was. This is who I was.
And this is what I have to complain about to you all.
Yeah.
I can't complain back because you won't be listening.
Yeah. You know what's funny, Heinz, is that my dad always used to say when I was a kid, he was like, they bitched me to death. And he said, make sure you put that on my tombstone. They bitched me to death. And I'm like, okay. Like he was drinking at the time, right? But I never forgot that. And obviously I'm not going to get a tombstone and put that on there. But him and his own mind, like whatever suffering he was experiencing was just coming out of him in that moment. But it's interesting how it's like the perspective, eh?
Yep.
It's like them. They did it to me. They bitched me to death. It's because of them that I'm dead, because of all the complaining.
No. It's not because of them, it's because he listened to them.
And what was the world mirroring to him?
They were mirroring back his intentions,
His complaining.
his awarenesses.
Yeah. And I heard a lot of complaining, and I became that and joined in with that. And I really don't want to live like that. So it's a good reminder sometimes of how not to be. That's what I've learned.
Morning, Mona.
Mona?
Good morning. This has been an extremely interesting conversation.
Did you say tasty?
Interesting, extremely interesting.
Oh, okay. I aim to please.
Well, I've heard a viewpoint on birthdays that I've never really heard before, except I've heard that people just don't celebrate them. That I have heard, because it's just another day in their life.
Yeah.
Yep. It just tells.
You're not the only one, Will. There are other people out there.
Yeah, it's actually based on
our birthday is important. It's our birthday, our birthplate, and who gave birth to us. It's what made who we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think if it depends on the family and how they celebrate birthdays too, because I think parents celebrate birthdays because they want the person being celebrated to know that they're celebrated and that they're valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, like Will says, it's a cultural thing and it just goes from generation to generation. I think you get to a certain age where it's like, that's just another day.
Yeah. So, however, like wherever birthday sits in yours, more than likely, like yours is the most important one.
Yes. Exactly.
All I'm doing is pointing out a point for most of us, right? That's that can be a barb. Right? We're fixed on seeing it one way. We don't even know it. And yes, it's something that we can, like, people will want to skate around their birthday, but deep down, it's like maybe not. Oh, just attachments, just attachments. That's all it is. That's all I'm pointing to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like even my attachment to not celebrating birthdays is actually in the Bible, and I just posted in the chat.
Birthdays is a pretty new thing.
Yeah, and to me, it's kind of like self-worship, and I want to worship God, or I want to worship God. So I don't really want to worship self. And so
it can also be celebrating life.
Yeah, I guess it depends on your perspective, eh?
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between worship and love?
Worship, love. Because worship is devotion, commitment, devotion. It's a very, very similar intention. Like if it's true love, then yeah, there's a fine line there, I suppose. The difference to me is that if you're worshiping a human, like you can love someone, but if you're exclusively devoted to that person, it's great in a marriage. It's great in a coupling and a partnership. But all worship really should go to God, according to what the Bible says. And so he is the one who deserves exclusive devotion. So there's kind of that line there. You could love a human and you could be devoted to them, but you're not worshiping them. You're actually worshiping God because he gave you life. So thank you for asking that question, because it does involve some critical thinking to be able to reason on that.
And my interest is self-love.
Okay. Because out of that comes your expression to others, as within, so without. Is that why?
No, I don't think so.
Or is it that's your connection to God, is self-love? I guess it doesn't really come down to God. Because everyone has a different perspective on that.
Yeah. Love is as close as I could explain it.
Okay.
So
God is love.
I mean, as soon as you put it as something, then it really isn't that name, is it?
Well, yeah, God's really just a title. It's a word that has a lot of charge.
Too much.
Yeah, a lot of charge. And then really the charge comes from how people have behaved in relation to that word and how they have used it to hurt others, which is not really love. So really the dirty word here is religion. That's the elephant in the room. It's not actually God. It's man's
That's true. Religion is a
interpretation.
bunch of rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Religion is a construct by humans.
Yes.
And obviously nothing against anyone or anyone's beliefs at all, period. It just is. That's just what it is. That's all. No judgment. It just is.
That's the point, to be like in the awareness, to observe, is to like notice the charge in it. And yes, those words are loaded in our society.
I don't know what anybody else's opinion about this is, but according to scripture, and I can't tell you verse and chapter,
Mhm.
but in the Bible, it does speak of God breathing his breath into us so we exist.
Absolutely.
By that, I take it that he breathes a part of himself into you, enough that you go on a spiritual journey the rest of your life to figure that out.
Yeah.
That's what I think
beautiful.
about that.
It's beautiful, Mona. Thank you.
Good morning, Alison.
Morning, Allison. We're having
morning,
a deep
Allison.
conversation here.
Morning, everybody. Wonderful to hear your voice, Mona. So strong
you,
and
Al.
clear.
It's wonderful to hear yours.
Thank you.
And love that you shared that, Mona. I'm so grateful for what you said. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm appreciating listening to this conversation. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
It talks about spirituality without getting into the man-made disagreement about which religion is even better than the other. That's just totally ridiculous.
Yep. There is no better.
I'm driving. I just saw a deer cross the road.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
And it's a buck.
Wow.
And it's rare to see a
Wow.
buck in the day.
mm.
Is that something that means something to you?
Oh, yeah. It means that it's time for hunting season.
Okay.
I was just going to tell you, well, there you have your daily miracle. See a buck in the middle of the road, crossing the road.
And you say, what the buck? What the buck was that? Oh, well, that was a buck.
No, that's when you hit it with a car. What the buck?
Careful. The buck stops here.
I'm glad he didn't stop. I'm glad he kept going.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. We are too. Make sure you drive safe.
Oh, I am.
Good.
That's really not the way to deer hunt.
Yeah, I know, eh? Strap it to the roof of the car kind of thing, eh?
Yeah, take it home. You got in my way, so I'm going to take you home and eat you, babe.
God provides in mysterious ways. Eh?
That's one way to stay fed. I'm sorry, I have a little bit of a warped sense of humor, I think, a little bit.
Oh, just like me. Just like me. There's that dark humor, eh?
Yeah, I think life wouldn't be right without it a little bit. The scary part about dark humor, sometimes it can be very spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what makes it humorous.
Yeah. Hey, do you guys mind if I read that passage in Ecclesiastes? I think it's about 4 verses.
Go for it.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah. Ecclesiastes 7:1-4. It reads, "A good name is better than good oil, and the day of death is better than the day of birth." And then verse 2 says, "It's better to go to the house of mourning than to the house of feasting, for that is the end of every man, and woman, and the living should take it to heart. Better is distress than laughter, for the sadness of the face makes the heart better." And then finally, verse 4 says, the heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of the stupid is in the house of rejoicing. So isn't that interesting? Eh? It's words of Solomon. And he was supposedly one of the wisest humans ever to live. And yeah, day of death is better than the day of birth. Interesting, eh? What's your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, the day of death shows the world that you actually lived. The day of birth is still uncertain what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
I think that all religious scripture are written in code.
yeah.
We have to, yeah. I don't know how to make of it. Because
If we look at it with a plant, what is best to sow or to harvest?
Neither.
I mean, you can't have harvest without the sowing, so that'll be the death.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess harvest is death.
Yeah.
a good name is better than good oil. What is your interpretation of that?
Well, back in the day, right, in the days of Israel, like, good oils like frankincense and myrrh,
Mm-hmm.
and they were very, very, very expensive oils because of their rarity, and it took a lot of work to produce those oils from a lot of plant material. And so there was a very, very high value placed on those oils. And so, like, the parallel is meant that, your name, who you have been, and how you have showed up when you were alive, it has far more value than that expensive oil.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you can see the wisdom there, eh?
Mm-hmm.
It's very profound metaphor.
It also has its own charge because it uses the word good.
A good name.
Good name, yeah. Yeah, no one wants to be remembered as having a bad name, right? Like, oh, that person was terrible. He did he was a dictator, and he slaughtered millions of people and had them gassed in gas chambers and burnt their bodies, like buried them in big giant pits. No one wants to have that name. So a good name is a bit of the polarity of that, the opposite. You want to be remembered for good deeds and good things. Unless you don't. But it's an option, right? It's available.
And how about the day of death is better than the day of birth?
What does that mean to you, G?
Oh. day of death, day of birth. And when you let go of things, you know, when you're not attached, and it's just like detaching. I don't know. Maybe I'm. It's better than hold on to, because we can easily get stuck in our own wrong beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
There's often a lot of meaning in verses, which is, it's beautiful because, you know, the metaphors, the illustrations, the parables, they open the mind to perceiving things from a different viewpoint than we're traditionally used to. So that's the beauty of it, is you get to explore what that means to you, you know? And
I think that when you read scripture and you just read the Bible as a book for what it is, because it's a history book, it's a lesson book for life, and we don't learn stuff from history very well, because all the things that happened in those days without all the technology is still happening today. Everybody thinks that they're a better group than the other group, and they have created division, and kings in that era made creeds, like one that we studied actually this Sunday at school, or this Sunday at Sunday school, was King Xerxes got mad at his queen because she didn't show up when he said for her to show up. She had other things going on.
Yep.
So he made a creed that all so he made that law throughout the land. That was a man-made thing. That wasn't a Bible thing.
Right.
And I noticed that people sometimes take that literally to their life, and they give power to somebody else that can't, because in their body, they're not in their spiritual space. You know what I mean?
And it's a very charged subject, which is all the point to triggers, right? It's, are triggers good or bad?
Depends on your perspective, I suppose.
Yeah,
But yes,
I didn't write the Bible.
it's always kind of like yes and, right? Like,
mm-hmm.
Are triggers bad? Yes, and they're also good.
And that's the point of like learning how to respond with yes ands. Now, not always is it appropriate, right? There's time for those. But to say yes and, even if you disagree, keeps it open. That's all it is opening and seeing where we close it off.
Beautiful,
I mean,
Jesse.
are these people that wrote these people that wrote this book? Do we put them on a pedestal?
Nope.
Good. Because they're just inferring the information that we are.
Yep, exactly. They just wrote it down.
So do we. We just don't put it in a book or carry it around for thousands of years.
Yep. And you know what? Even if we did, it would probably be very similar to what's in there.
All the other ones are too.
Yeah. It's just copycats.
Well, depends on which one came first.
And how many times they've been rewritten.
Yeah, edited so many times, yeah. But this is the hand for the rulers, you know, because they use it to put people on the fire or torturing people, killing people for anything, everything, just by referring to the book.
Way out of line.
Well, see, it was justified and fine in God's name.
Mm-hmm.
So.
There was a time when ordinary people wasn't allowed to read in the Bible. It wasn't until Martin Luther that his Reformation that ordinary people have a book in their home.
Yep. Resources and tools available. Good morning, Cinderella.
Good morning, beautiful souls.
Hey, Cinderella.
Good morning, Cinderella.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning.
All right, so let me ask the question of this morning is, in your world, who has the most important birthday?
It's not a trick question. It's okay.
It's a trigger question.
Me. I have the most important birthday.
There we go. Yes, I think we do. I think we all have a version of that.
Yeah, I mean, there would be no birthday for me to recognize if I didn't have one.
Right.
The woman with the insight.
Huh?
That was the insight we were looking for, or Jesse was looking for.
There's the answer that he was expecting, but didn't get.
None of us gave him that answer.
Well,
that's crazy.
He's like, wait a minute.
You got to be able to work it both ways, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise it's not true.
Exactly.
And that's the test of life, right? Is to work it from both perspectives to find what the truth is.
Yeah. Okay.
And what's the truth?
And so my point of bringing it up was to challenge, right, whatever the answer is, in the sense of whatever it is, right? Because whatever it is what you're attached to.
Wow. The question just stirs up another quandary. It's like, what birth day are you talking about?
Yeah. And that's most important to you.
Of mine. You know, I've had several renditions of birth.
I like that answer. That's the rebirth days.
Yeah. I was just gonna listen in today. I gotta run into the store. I will be back. You guys got in.
Well, and And so here, like in the point is if we can't celebrate our own birthday, can we really love ourselves?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, just use like that as an example. We don't have to use birthday, but it's like in the same thing, right? That works the same way.
Well, if we weren't born, then we couldn't love.
Yeah. And
I
practicing
have
love is a daily thing.
Well, the tendency is we're gonna love, like we want to love, we love others more than ourselves. Like that's the given.
Well, it's not how it has to be necessarily.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah,
I don't think it should be that way.
exactly. I agree.
Nor do I think everyone should celebrate birthdays.
No.
It's like, oh, it's just it's the awareness. That's all. And so like even in the awareness, it's like the awareness reveals what the triggers, the attachments,
Yeah.
the the barbs, because that's all attachments really are barbs, right? That only allow us to see it a fixed way. And when we only see it a fixed way, we don't see like what we don't see the truth. We don't see it as it is. But look, not as it is, but we see it as it is. We see it as our attachment, like not as attached, but we see it as an attachment, not as it is. And even you will. It was like, oh, you're right. It wasn't my choice. It was just how I was raised. Yeah, like that's part of the attachment because we attach to what we know, what we're familiar with. That's our attachments. Not good or bad with them.
Yeah, I understand.
Just aware.
Yeah, that's okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then not everyone has the same beliefs, and it's okay.
That's it. That's it. And that's the world is that
Yeah,
way, right?
exactly. And
So we've got to
it's the gift
learn
of
how to get along with the world.
that's the gift of freedom is we get to choose what we believe.
Mhm. Now, if I only allow myself to have freedom, but you can't have freedom, right?
That's a dictatorship.
Now, of course, now we ask like whose freedom is most important? We could, rather than birthday, that's probably a whole lot better. Whose freedom is most important to you?
Uh, um, yeah, wow, that's a really, really good reflective question.
The world's. If the world is free, I would be free.
If I'm free, then I have circumstances to, or no, if I'm free, then I'm demonstrating to the world that it's possible.
Well, then wouldn't the world be free too? If you're free, like in the sense, it's like, yeah, but not everywhere. I got it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there's
a lot of realities going on in this planet.
Mm-hmm. And so then it comes down to which one's right.
Oh, none of them are just perspectives.
Mm-hmm. Yet we feel so rightly that ours is.
Mine's right, you're wrong, but then it makes others wrong.
Exactly. And is that true? Like as it is that true?
Nope.
cluster.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, don't. I hope the noise isn't too loud. I'm shaving right now. I guess I could mute. It's the morning
So,
meditative
Jesse,
shave.
Jesse, my question would be, what is freedom?
What does freedom mean to you, Ellison?
No, I asked the question. So,
It all depends on who you're asking.
sorry, Hans, what did you say?
It all depends on who you're asking
Mm,
what freedom is. It's a personal thing.
Yeah,
there you go.
exactly. And freedom can mean
And so
10
then,
billion different things.
and so then, truth is also personal. If freedom is personal, truth is personal.
Yeah.
Is it or isn't it?
Well, it depends on what type of truth, right? Like there's universal truth and then there's perspective truth based on the individual perspective.
I wonder if we ever really know what universal truth is. I don't know if we're really capable of it.
Well, it's universal truth is based on principles. So, like there's certain laws, like the law of gravity. And the truth is, if you walk off a cliff, you're going to go down because of the law.
So then those are laws of nature and physics.
Yeah, exactly. Which is like a universal truth. Yeah.
That can't be universal. It'll only apply for Earth.
It applies on other planets too, based on the mass of the world. But there's subjective truth and then there's objective truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so when there's a dispute between two people, whose truth is more valid?
Well, obviously the person's own truth, if they're biased to it. But if they're open to possibility, there's still that openness and willingness to see the other point of view. That's wonder.
So for me, freedom is in different layers. Like I appreciate my freedom today to have things on my mind to do and the freedom to do them.
Yeah.
I don't feel freedom and I want to do something. And especially when it's for someone else, but I got to think about circumstances of doing it to the point where I don't have the capacity to do it. Limitations. So to me, that's not freedom. And of course, time freedom, money freedom, And then there's this freedom in your mind Like you don't think independent thoughts and take action on them or live from that principle of your own independent thought because of someone else's thoughts, someone else's structure or framework. That's not freedom. It still may be a choice because you choose to let that limit you, but.
That was profound, Sindrell. That was profound. The freedom to create your own frameworks, basically, is what I got from that.
Mm.
It's the most powerful freedom, like sovereignty, really.
Sorry, Chi, I spoke over you. Please talk.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
And it was just a comment. I said sovereignty is a beautiful word.
Yes, I was enjoying that too. It's like putting a piece of candy in my mouth that has a unique flavor. I was savoring sovereignty.
Sovereignty is freedom. And when we allow others to have their sovereignty, we are granting freedom to them. We're granting freedom for them to be who they choose to be. When we create frameworks and say, this is how it is, we are limiting others' freedom. But when we say, you get to create frameworks you choose, you get to make it up, you get to create what you choose, we're granting them freedom, and we are granting ourselves freedom by being that way, by being free ourselves. And showing the respect of others' sovereignty is part of that responsibility of being free. So it's just kind of coming out. I don't know if all of this is true or not. It's just kind of a perspective that's flowing out of me. I'm always trying to make sense. If I could just be in no sense.
It flows, it makes sense. I respect it. I feel it, I relate to it. There's a line in our ceremony book for services that says, and it's probably in the Bible too, and it's talking about the angels and how one gives way to the other in hallowing their creator. And it's, there. And they're respecting each other's way of praise and accolades and whatever they do. And that's what we allow ourselves to do here, is respect and appreciate, and none of it limits our own way of being. That's sovereignty.
It's beautiful. So, Sindrell, for me, I'll go with your conversation about the different layers.
Expound.
And freedom in terms of, for want of a better word, political freedom is very, very, very rare on this plane. And I think that if we attach the word
freedom to things and situations, we really never can be free in this world. But if we acknowledge that and carry an awareness of that, of how our structures actually keep people confined in one way or another, and we keep our acceptance of that, which is different to submission of it, then for me, what freedom talks about is the second part of what you spoke about. And for me, that is awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And earlier when Jesse was talking, I could forget the coordinates he was using now. Shoot, sorry. But he was, basically his questioning was just going to show all the time. If you think something is one thing, there's always an opposite to it. Always.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else is going to maybe think that the opposite is the right thing. And so again, for me, it's about being able to recognize the opposite and the contrast, and kind of be a container for them, but not identify with them.
Can't have day without night.
Exactly, Hans. And so if I circle back to birth and death, I think the point of saying that we should rejoice when we die and
so many things from that.
Yeah, and cry when we are born is
It made me reflect on it.
Yeah.
If there's not freedom everywhere, is there freedom anywhere? And yet I must exercise my freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there are others that have the direct polarity of the freedom that I experience.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I don't, then I leave room for non-freedom to engulf freedom. And there's less freedom being exercised, in my view. So the more freedom is exercised, the more freedom there is. And hopefully the more. And the other vein spoke of structure. And me, that triggered, that structure gets a bad name a lot from my view, from within me. It pings me as the enemy structure. But I count on structure. Structure allows me also to exercise.
Structure allows you
like
to.
I'm on this highway. I love that I am not on a wagon going bumpity. So this structure works for me.
It's hard to hear you, Sindrell.
I would be sad to know that I had to embrace a structure took freedom away from someone else. So I'm in mining where, children are used. I wouldn't want to die knowing or unknowing that it enslaved someone else or took their freedom.
For me, freedom is free from dominance, free from domestication.
Explain the domestication one, Chief.
It's, you know, the structures that put on us, you know, because I don't know how to say it. Lack of better words.
I was just intrigued by your use of the word domestication. But I think I get what you're saying. Those are all the social structures, right?
Yep, yep.
Okay. Yeah.
That's right, yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So there's always in here and out there.
Yeah. Yep.
And our definitions or perspectives don't always take both of those into consideration. So it's like what part of breakthrough, right? Breakthrough is breaking through, pulling them apart, seeing the components, seeing what is and what is. It's like structure. It's like if we put the word for structure, it's like structures in the background that makes everything like what it is.
Yeah.
So it's again like a fireside. It's we gather, we break through, and we scatter. Gather. And when we gather, when we first get in, how do we gather?
Good morning.
Good day. Welcome to Fireside.
And we have a phone or a computer.
Yeah, we all gather as it is.
Yeah.
Our heart, hopefully.
Well, most of us come in our heads. So mostly we're gathering in our heads. And so then it's like, then we're gather, right? And then we work through breakthroughs. It's like, so to break through what? To break through to our heart. Break through the ego, right? Into the heart, through the heart. So it's like in here, right? The breakthrough in here so that we see it out there. So we're breaking through to our heart. So we gathered because we were started in our heads, right? We gathered so that we could break through our heart, break through the ego to the heart, right? And so that we can go scatter our light, our divinity, our heart. So we gather as it is and how it isn't, right? That's how we're gathering, as it is and how it isn't. We're breaking through to the heart. So it's like, what do we do here? That's what we do. We break through to the heart.
Now, what are we breaking through? These attachments, this resistance, charges, triggers, patterns, habits, automatics, perspectives, limitations, expectations. What else?
How it's not.
Constrictions. How it's not great.
Like lies.
Judgments.
Even beliefs.
Unresolvable beliefs, desires, breakthrough, like unresolvable, like there's a structure that will never turn out the way we think it is. I will also call that insanity. And all of us are living insane. Until we can see it, right? That's the awareness. So it's like we're gathering in our awareness. And we leave in a much deeper awareness. It's the essence of a campfire, of our fireside.
And then when we scatter, we bring our hearts to the world.
That's right.
Hopefully.
And divinity, scatter your divinity. It's like lighter and brighter. That's your divinity. Your God-like characters, your God-given characters, however you want to call it. Your passions, your purposes. It's like that's the divinity. It's like to build that in this world. And not for the money. Yes, you need the money, but some of us do it for something else. Mine just happens to be money. What's yours?
Freedom.
So my word for today is divinity.
Oh, beautiful, Jesse. Beautiful.
So that we can scatter our divinity, our passion, our purpose, our light, our heart to the world. Being that demonstration. And then we come back again tomorrow. If you choose, I'll be here, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, because I'm passionate about my awareness.
Yes.
I'm passionate about my heart.
Yes.
And I'm passionate about sharing it. And am I passionate about money? Oh, hell yes.
It fuels the expression of freedom.
Yes.
Not the money itself, but like all the choices you have with it.
That's right. All my attachments, right? The ones I'm not even aware of yet that are still there.
And it's okay.
And it's okay. It's not we're not here to fix them, but that's what we do.
Allison, Cinderella, and Mona, would you guys like to share a word of the day or your word of the day? And if not, that's okay.
Mine's creativity.
Creativity. Awesome. Thank you. I'll share it in the chat once we have one.
I'm supping with soft.
What was that, Cinderella?
No, as I said it, I take it back.
Oh, okay.
That's freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
Bursting love.
Beautiful.
Lovely. Bursting love.
Sometimes my heart is so full of love, it's just like,
my word for the day is engaged.
Engaged.
Nice
Awesome.
word, Mona.
Thank you, Mona. Engaged.
That's good. I love it.
Okay, I'll put these in the chat so that we all get to hold that space for each other too.
And that's like as other people share their word, it's like they are creating like what their most important word. And it's like out of all of them, like we are hearing what's most important at their soul. Because that's what we're trying to do, is like at the core, at the heart. And it's like, oh, as they bring up that word, then we can see their word in our word.
Yes.
The word
And
was
ours and theirs.
And ours and theirs. Yes. And it just expands. It
in
just
the beginning.
does it.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was a God. So it's like there's that divine essence when we speak intentionally. We create.
Yes. And that's a miracle. Like to see that now, it's like that's the miracle.
Yes. So we get to bring our word.
And the frustration is that so much power when we see it, how come everyone else doesn't see it?
Because they're not participating in Fireside.
They're not looking for it.
It's whatever their exercise of awareness is or isn't.
It is or isn't. And who am I to judge there is or isn't?
Their choice.
And also, diversity is the key to life.
Sovereignty. I think I found my word of the day for tomorrow. But I do love that freedom word, because there's so much to it. It's just unlimited possibility, really. 100% abundance.
What came before the word?
Yeah, exactly. Depends on what question you're really asking. It says in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. And the Word was a God. But we as humans who have a beginning and an end, we cannot fathom infinity. It's really hard for these human bodies and minds to fathom the infinite. But it's always there. It's always there. It's divine. It is the divinity.
That's the beginning and the end of a circle.
Yeah, exactly. It's on an infinite loop.
I have a question.
Yes.
Does that make our souls infinite?
That's a good question, Mona. And let me know when you know the answer. When you know beyond a shadow of a doubt.
I lost it.
When you 100% know it's absolute objective truth, let me know.
All right. I got one thing here. So, knowing for sure, if we know for sure something, then it is not faith.
Yeah. Well, faith is assured, though. If you know 100% for sure, then it actually is faith. Then you know.
I would say, according to what I've picked up in the way of information, that our souls are infinite because we come back to this existence until we learn a lesson.
And then what?
Yeah, and that's thank
Yeah,
you.
that I like.
Thank you, Mona.
I like what Jesse's words. Yes, and it's really.
And we grow until we become like God more and more with each lesson learned.
I think the lessons that we have to learn are the detachments.
Mm.
Yep. Learning to detach from the ego into the spirit, the soul.
We are what we have to learn is to unlearn everything.
Mm-hmm. I want to play with something until we become the word.
Ooh.
I think it's becoming the light or the sound.
I
think those two things come way before the word.
That was the first word. And he said, let there be light.
Light.
Yeah. I think light just was there. I think.
Mm-hmm. You caught it. You caught it. Congratulations.
I like that. I think.
There was a flavor of needing to be right there. Good catch.
Well, my truth is my truth.
And it's true.
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that power in that?
Don't step over the line or you're going to get smacked.
And the line is my truth. Okay, girl.
See, like that's as much fun as our resistance needs to be.
Yes.
Not afraid of it. Not avoiding it, but looking at it. Here's the thing. It's like surrendering to it. It's like, who wants to surrender? Just an attachment. What's the attachment to? Winning. Being right. Good.
Getting it right. Right?
Yeah.
Right is all about perspective.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You're right, I'm right. Even the opposite, like love and hate are both right. Which one do I want to experience?
Mm.
Which one do I choose? Because we're always choosing, but I don't know what to call it when we're unaware it's a choice.
Mm.
It's an autopilot.
Automatic.
Mm.
Yeah. A trigger, a barb, an attachment. Yeah.
Yep.
Blind, like we're blind to it. Maybe ignorant. I mean, it's like, we start to put some personal words to it, right? So it's like these attachments we take personal. We make them personal.
Well, if it has something to do with me, it is personal to me.
That's right. Well, whose birthday is most important except for Will's?
Thank you.
Oh,
Yours is.
mine my birthday just tells the world how long they have enjoyed my company.
Enjoy.
That's right.
Enjoy.
I mean, sorry, you think about your own birthday the most is probably what I would like. Like, you see, even if it's the most, even if you don't agree with it, like the most, like there always is a most of it, even if you don't agree. Because you've thought about your birthday, Will, many times.
Yeah,
like,
I have.
Have you thought about your birthday or someone else's birthday more?
My birthday.
Yeah, sure. We all do.
I just don't celebrate
and yet
it.
You fucking fought me, unless you fucking fought me on it.
Because of my beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
My holding on to.
Well, and see mine going right at it,
Paradigm.
like having to be right. I'm gonna fucking prove I'm right.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna concede.
Right. It's like, and I'm gonna dominate.
Yeah.
Because you can see my frustration. My frustration's a tip to say you're not listening to me, so listen up.
And your point must be you must get across your point. So I'm like, okay, I will allow you to have your point.
I've got to be heard.
Yeah.
I've got to be seen. Right? Do you see it's both of our patterns? Do you see how it's both of our patterns and how we play it together?
It's incredible, eh?
It's lovely. It's amazing dance, even when we disagree.
Yeah. And it's okay. And it's mutuality. It's like respect. I respect that you have your freedom to choose what you believe, because I choose that for myself as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean I love you any less or I love myself any less. It's okay.
It's freeing to know that this is what I stand for. This is my choice, rather than like what I heard earlier, Will, was like, oh no, that was like the environment I was raised in. But now you're like, I've looked at it and it's like, this is the one that I still choose. It's like, that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Never thought of it that way. Wow, I'd never, I just blindly accept it. I blindly accept that people celebrated the 1 year anniversary because it was such a rare feat at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, not anymore. Now it's like survival. So it's like, oh man, there's an old attachment.
I'm celebrating the 1 year annual, the survival of one more year. Is that what you're kind of insinuating, or?
No, what I was saying is like whether like where we have a choice and where we don't have a choice. And it's like I was honoring your choose, like you pulled it apart and settled for yourself. It's like that's power.
Okay.
Yeah. And what I was comparing it to is like, oh, it was like to the depth that you took it, I didn't. I have just accepted the historical, right? It's like, oh, I just accepted the culture celebrating my birthday.
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't question it.
That's right. I wasn't aware. I didn't look at the choice. It was like, oh, that was just the environment's choice. It was like my automatic. And it's like, those types of things run 99% of our lives.
Yeah. And is that actually freedom?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Is it really my choice? No.
Interesting.
Now, do I want to spend any more time on it? No.
No. And you're free to choose that.
Mm-hmm.
And I can honor that and respect that. And what a beautiful day to be alive.
But what will I do is I will bring it back to the focus of these hours, this time together, the focus of this fireside, right? Is that we gather, we break through, we scatter.
And we launch into our day with our intention. Or we gently retread lightly,
And all that matters is like, oh, it was great today. All that matters is that there's tomorrow.
Yeah. Hopefully, God willing.
It was like it's like, what's more important? If people come back. That's the most important. Like the second time, like that's the second one is most important. It's like a customer, like everyone's excited for the first customer, if you will, but it's not the first customer. It's that when they buy the second time is what really matters.
Yeah. Are they coming back? Yeah. And it's not necessarily a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them, actually.
That's oh now you're gonna get really deep.
Because if you take it personally and you personalize it, you're going to go, well, it's because of who I was being and how I was showing up that they didn't come back,
or what I was doing.
Yeah, or it's their own perspective,
but we
their own projections.
We never think that's a possibility,
unless you do,
until you're aware of it.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And there's freedom in that.
Yes.
There's divinity in it because it's in your heart.
And that's pretty much the summation of business.
Yep.
I have another question. How come we do the automatic go-to of thinking it's us?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not their perspective, and how come we automatically take it personally?
Because that's the egocentricity that we all have within us, the self-conscious awareness. And even the unconscious tends to be very egocentric.
It's also the only perspective you got. You can only look at yourself. You don't know why other people don't join, so it's easier to tell yourself it's my fault.
Because if you listen to the voice of the unconscious, all you're hearing is your own internal beliefs and paradigms being repeated on autopilot. So it's easy to personalize everything when you buy into that belief that it's all me.
Who was always present?
Yeah, exactly.
You were. So it's the common denominator as a child, like figuring out how the world works. Like you learn from your environment, from the feedback. It's like we learn from the feedback of what to do.
Yeah. So we modify our behavior. Oh, this is okay. This is not okay.
That's right. And so it's like we start
Being
to look.
spontaneous
it's like,
and real,
because the people are always changing. Right, the people out there are always they're all giving us something different, and like what's always the common denominator? We don't really until we become the observer, right? That it's always happening to us.
The witness,
and that's we call that the ego. That's the awakening of the ego comes to wake to say, oh, here, let me take control of this. I know how this thing works. I've seen it for 8 years now. Let me run it. I mean, in reality, it's like I got 8 years of experience. So you're 8 years old, so let me take over your life. Really? Really? Because I know best. So that's all it is like we're running, we're the self. So that's why we keep playing the automatics.
would you say the unconscious and the self-conscious combined create the ego? I guess it depends on perspective.
Well, they're entangled because I would say which one came first. It was like the feelings, the emotional part came first, and then it was the words that we put on it. So that's my separation of them.
Yeah, like memory 2, 3 kind of thing.
The ego is the words that come out.
Okay.
Now there's sorry, the ego is like the attachments, right? The resistance, because it's in all reality, it all works as one. We just we separate them to try and understand. And so that's what the awareness is to really see is like, okay, which one is my ego? Which one's my heart? Right? Which a heart is always like neutral. We think like the heart is always like positive, and it's like, well, yeah, it is, but like wisdom is neutral. Enlightenment is neutral. Love is neutral. It's like we just attach the charges to them because it has to be like that. Like this is what love is, and it's so deep in us, right? That's why. And then if you notice, like therapy goes back to the moment that you started it. It's like, well, I was doing it in everything. There wasn't like it was like every moment I was doing it.
The will is the mechanism by which we assign the power. So does the will come from a combination of the ego, like the self-conscious, the unconscious, and superconscious?
Yes, because our heart is going for what we love as a child, right? Then we get told that we can't go for it, and so then we still figure it out. Like we still want to go for it, but we have to change the way we go for it. And then what we do is we learn to come back around and let go of all of that, and then to find what the truth is again. So it's this loop. We're still just in a bigger loop.
Yeah. Wow.
We're just working to resolve it finally, rather than an unresolvable loop.
Yeah. So it's like the loop was small when we were young, and then it just got bigger and bigger, but it's still an infinite loop.
That's like creation, right? It's all creation. The structure, it's the structure of creation.
Yeah.
It's just loop, us in it.
Infinity.
It's just us in it. We're not separate of it. We're in it. But to create meaning, we have to separate. That's the conundrum. The chicken or the egg? Egg
Structure
or the chicken?
Of creation. Wow. Structure of creation. It's like an infinite loop. One, and it's a field with positive and negative charge.
And neutral.
And neutral. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Neutral. The neutral point is the sweet spot, the point of power. Wow. Neutral.
So you went from just one, right? One is like good, like it's got to be good, right? And then you open it up to be two. It's like good and bad. Okay, now I got two, and then it's like, well, like that's two, right? So structure can be one, two, or sorry, structure can be two or more, right? So all of a sudden you put two in, so now you've got 2 points to compare to.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean like now we're just moved into complex, and complex is two or more. So now we've moved it like we have two, and then we add a third one as neutral. Like, oh, now we've got 3 points. Do you see? It just opens it up more. It just expands it.
So it's like, where's the power? Am I putting it in the good or the bad? Supposed good or bad, plus or negative, or am I going into the neutral, into the void, into the infinite?
The unknown, the I don't know. It's like all this, and we don't think there's much room in the neutral.
Oh, but there's so much power there. It's cosmic consciousness and awareness. It's like the quantum field.
That's right. It just depends on how big you see choice.
Because there's infinite possibilities there. It's a crossing point of infinity. Wow. Thank you guys for this conversation. I just love this so much. Grateful.
And what you begin to see is that you're just putting conscious ego words onto feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all we do.
Yeah. We have to crystallize it into some kind of a concept. So our self-conscious and unconscious minds understand the infinite. Make sense of it.
Well, if you went from everything to like, how would you know something?
By conceptualizing it.
Yep. There you go. And again, that's creation, right? It's the invisible aspect of creation.
Yeah.
And it is what we're in the middle of.
Focusing that awareness into one point of awareness.
Yeah. And we'll call that will.
Yeah. Like the will.
No, Will. I call it Will. I call it you, Will.
Oh, me.
It's Jesse, it's Heinz, it's Sindrell, right? It's all, who else is doing that?
Okay.
Who else is doing that? Like someone else may have given you the blueprint, but who's doing it?
Yeah, what's this energy that is keeping this body alive?
That's right.
What is
You
that?
have a name. It's your name, right? It's your being. It's the soul, right? It's the passion, the purpose. It's the heart.
Yeah. So if the heart was not beating, this body would not be alive. Will would cease to exist. Is that true?
The body as we know it wouldn't be moving. And when the body isn't moving, we call that death.
Yeah, because the cells eventually begin to all die because the energy that was animating them is no longer in the body.
Right.
No
Now we all also know that energy is not created nor destroyed.
Yeah.
It just changes shapes, changes charges. So it goes somewhere. It's never destroyed. So we have to look at death and be like, well, that's not the end of our energy.
Yeah.
Our
this
emotions,
energy is going to flow somewhere else.
Not eventually. The words. The words don't go with you.
No. But the memory is there in memory one in the field. The memory is still there. Everyone who's ever lived, their memory is in the field. Their coding, their DNA, their memories that were with them. It's all there. All the information's there.
So all creation is feedback. Nothing more.
Infinite loop of feedback.
Yeah, and it's like, if we're not even conscious that we're creating our body every day, it's like, what other powers are we unaware of?
Well, 400 billion bits.
Yeah, so we could say that, damn it, we're pretty lazy. Use 1% of our capability.
We do a lot of generalizing and deleting.
Yes.
And we hold on to a lot too.
And have you ever been in a dream, even a lucid dream, and you start waking up, quote unquote, waking up, and the dream kind of collapses, like you actually see it collapse in your mind?
I've seen that happen. I've had that happen.
Yeah, because I have too. And when you start to realize, oh, I was sleeping and it was a dream, and what I saw in my mind wasn't real, and the vision, for lack of a better word, faded and collapsed. You actually physically saw it collapse in your mind. And then have you ever looked down a road or looked at a beautiful view, or you had a moment where for one split second your vision of reality kind of warped just for a moment, and you're like, what the heck was that? Has that ever happened to anyone else? Don't make me feel crazy, please.
We're all crazy, Will. So.
Would you call it a miracle?
I don't know what it was. I've had moments, and I can remember them, where it felt like time slowed down. Either that or my brain was going so fast that as a bird flew by in front of my vehicle as I was driving, it's as if it slowed down into slow motion, and I saw just slowly, kind of like in slow motion, fly by, and I was just in absolute awe and wonder and amazement of how beautiful that moment was, and I'd never forgotten that. And then there's been other moments where when you experience the dream collapsing, where it kind of warps a little bit. And I've experienced that in very, very, very a handful of moments in my life where I've seen kind of almost like a glitch in the matrix, where it kind of looked like it worked for a moment, and I don't know if that was a brain thing or an eye thing or what, but it was just really interesting to notice that. So that's the question I guess I'm asking you guys is, have you experienced that? And if you have, what is that? Like, are we all in a collective dream? Like, what the heck is going on, right? The Matrix.
Sounds a little like when two samurais are fighting, all of a sudden everything goes into slow motion. I think it's just our perspective that changes.
Yes.
It's like, to me, it's like the power of focus. When we focus our energy on one point that's happening, we can slow everything way down. That's what awareness is all about. Slowing everything that's happening to us in life way down to a moment that we can react, we can choose how to respond to it.
That is so good. Wow.
And what if what I'm seeing is like in the dream, I'm making it up and I'm projecting it. I think that's kind of the bigger question I'm kind of alluding to here.
And the real question is, which one is real? Like, is this one real, or is the dream state real?
Yes, and.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Why can't they both be real?
Was that Heinz?
I think.
Why can't they both be real?
Our dreams
both be
are
unreal.
messages.
What is real?
Yeah, exactly. Life is nothing but a dream.
You know what's real to me is, you know, that song from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder, where it's like pure imagination. I think we all make it up. And there's the thought, right? Like, it's a thought. It's not like, it's not knowingness. It's just, I think we all make it up. It's a head thought. It's not a heart knowingness. What does my heart know? We're all making it up. It's like imagining your perspectives into reality.
And it's like attaching to that, it has to be something.
Yeah.
Attaching that I have to know what it is.
And that it's so significant.
Yeah, and it's important. It's like, it does matter what we pay attention to. That matters.
Yes.
But how I respond to it is what matters. How it affects me is what matters. Am I choosing to see it for what it is, or what I think it is?
It depends on what level of awareness you're viewing it from. If it's just self-conscious, you know, it's this very limited perspective. And unconscious, that's also a limited perspective.
Right. And we have to be free, right? We have to be free without judgment to reveal this to the world, to another human being. Would you all say AA is known to be effective? Alcoholics Anonymous?
Oh,
no,
I'm like, AA.
Like, would we say like that has been a successful program?
I would say, because I've been in it myself, I would say yes and no. Because yes, in some ways it helped me, and no, in some ways it did not. But it was also where I was at and what I brought.
Now what worked, Will, did you see that worked?
I see a lot of what didn't work.
Right?
what did work? That's the question.
Interesting. Like that is our starting position.
Yeah, what didn't work? Yeah.
Yep. What didn't work?
What did work though was having support. Having support did work.
Now explain support.
Support was when people are being compassionate and understanding and non-judgmental.
Sort of like what we are doing here.
Yeah,
exactly. That is what works. It's like, and it's sharing what's inside with another human being.
Exactly. That's it.
That is the breakthrough to the heart. And it's not just one time you do it. It's like, oh, I got it. It's like one time I traveled that path one time. Do I want to travel it again? And that's the pain, right? That's the pain. It's like, oh, the pain. Because I know, like, if like I've been avoiding that, and all I have to do is let it go. But I'm prideful to surrender. I'm prideful to surrender. I can't surrender. Right? Because why? Because people are out there judging me. So do you see how that's an unresolvable structure?
Jesse, I have a question. I've attended some of those meetings. What I did not like about them was you had to identify yourself as an alcoholic.
Yeah, same.
Now, have you looked at what the problem is? Now, the problem, like there's a barb for you in that. Have you explored why? I got my story.
Okay. I'm just saying that was, I liked the support of those types of groups.
Yep. No,
because
look,
you seem to go from dealing with alcohol to not drinking, and then suddenly you're imbibed with emotions that you were not aware of because you were drinking.
That's right. Now, look, I didn't ask if it was perfect. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Mona. I'm not attacking you. I love it. I like this is passion behind it because I see it like you. And and you just adding color to it. So I greatly appreciate that. And that's part of my passion of like what this is.
Yeah.
Now, the first thing you said, like what you didn't like, what I noticed was it's like, yes, like I believe they announced like, yes, I'm an alcoholic, right? Now, what that is looking backwards and reaffirming.
Yes.
So you're creating going backwards. It is one of the things that we do. And it's a resistance to change is the other thing. So it's like, do you see how like for what AA is, like how that whole structure is already, it's like the two words that they say their name and then they attach to I am that. Like no wonder it is not perfect. But I didn't ask which one was perfect. I said like which one of it was the like was it good? Like, and to me, what I meant good by, and so I could have explained, would be like, oh, it appears that it was started by people a while ago. They are no longer in the organization, and the organization is still alive.
Yeah.
Now, could it be better?
A lot of people.
Yeah. It's like, oh, yes. I there is, yes. So, and a touchy subject, but at the end of the day, if we look at it like addictions as habits, like that's what they are. We are attaching our barbs to that word because of how it has impacted the intensity in our lives.
Mm.
So yes, it's like there's things here that I don't want to have a starting position that looks back and attaches to the old version of who.
because I'll know that that's a resistance.
I don't feel so. It can be right, because it would be like, "Hi, my name is Heinz. I'm a child."
Yeah.
I love it.
It doesn't seem that right. It's like identifying with something you were.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah,
would be much better
exactly.
to say, "I was," and
I'm becoming more now.
yeah.
I'm going to rise above who I used to be and become my true self, which is not an alcoholic. That's why I left. That's why I stopped going, because I don't need to identify as that for the rest of my life. You know what? I used to be an alcoholic, and I used to have a problem with drinking, and then I stopped. And now life is amazing in comparison to what it was.
Yep.
See,
Man.
those are the kind of words I would love to hear at those meetings. It'd be like, because after being in Chris's program and learning that the more you focus on something, the more you become it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But we're
Focus
not
creates.
just one thing. We are body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah.
We can't separate them. You know, it's what made who we are. But wow, this is great conversation, and I love all of the things you put out. Jesse. It's really good.
So, Will, what would you say what's the difference between the first 45 minutes and this last piece, the remaining? Anything you just notice about, you came in and said, I talk too much. One was like, oh, did we forget that, like here at the end? Or was it like present as you went through, like aware through the session?
I feel that way. Is it objective reality, and is it truth? Not necessarily. Maybe more. It's what someone has said to me. Like, yeah.
So
I won't say who.
like here's how I see it. Like in the way, it's like there's a yearning in the background for you to like lead this. I love that. Love it. Love it. Right. And it's like not mine, right? But it's like this is what I practice, and then so I'll share what's there with me. Is like the first 45 minutes I would say like Will led the session.
Oh, okay.
That's just my like as I viewed it, right? As I observe it.
Yeah.
And so then I would ask for you to be like, okay, what was in that? And then it would be like maybe Jess led the second half of it from 45 on. And it was like, was there a difference between the two?
Yes.
So the point is the awareness, you have to separate it. It's just, what do you do with the separation? I am not judging the separation. I am sharing it as if that's as best I can, unattached to it, to build a creative momentum in this structure. It's not fucking easy.
Yeah. It's a constant moving target.
And it challenges. It could be seen as a challenge when it's service.
Yeah, because you want to serve. You want to give, ultimately. Like, that's why we're here, is to give freely.
So I invented, if you will, gather, breakthrough, scatter. It's like that's just my words.
Oh yeah, your framework, yes.
My framework, right? And that is what I hold. It's like that's what I aim at, and it's open to change.
Yeah.
But it's like that's what I continue to bring it into for now. And so, like maybe like in the replay, you'll notice that how often did I bring back the intention? oh, there's the secret sauce.
Yeah, like a number of times.
Oh God, I gave away the secret as I see it. I mean, if it works, I don't, you know.
So what I noticed in my memory anyways is that you kept bringing things back to freedom, and the whole conversation this morning has actually encapsulated that concept of freedom.
So how is that different? Like if someone is doing that, what would have to be different?
Someone's doing what?
Always bringing it back to that freedom, bringing it back to something, like bringing it back to the relevance. What word would you give that?
The relevance of freedom?
See, sometimes, thank you. Yeah, see, now you got me all in a tangle. So,
yeah, sorry, I'm not understanding your reasoning or guidance or.
So here is like we can talk about the weather.
Yeah.
Or we can gather, breakthrough, and scatter. Which one do you want to show up to?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'd much
Which
rather
one would you
dive
show
into...
up to next? Well, then you are leading the Weather Channel.
Okay. Okay. Well, we had. Did everyone have a breakthrough this morning?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So
I'm so grateful for everything Jesse shared today. Really, I'm really listening.
So basically so basically we had the gathering, we had the breakthrough, and there's only one next step is to bring it to the world now.
And so, Will, to you, Weather Channel or gather, breakthrough, scatter, like focused intention as you called it, which one has more breakthroughs?
Yeah, I prefer this. This was probably one of the most meaningful conversations.
That's your model, right? That feeling, that's your model. That's you name it for you. And then that word now has all of this encapsulated in it. That is power.
Yeah. And that's freedom.
Yes.
To me, that's freedom.
So that to me, like this session is named freedom because of like yours. And it's like, this is always brings you back to the moment of freedom.
Wow.
So that you know what that feels like, so you can revisit it whenever you need it again.
Wow. Thank you,
Now lead freedom in the gathering, breakthroughs, and scatter. It's like that becomes your like drive, your passion.
Man, so there's Fireside Daily, and then there's Fireside Freedom. I'm gonna call mine Fireside Freedom.
Great.
Yeah.
Boom. Because that's
breakthrough.
Yeah. And that's my core. That's one of my core values.
People have to see the breakthroughs. Well, how do we help them see it? Is by like having the recording of it is one.
Yeah. And come join us.
Join us to experience your own is the most effective. It is the fastest, right? It's the shortcut.
Yeah. And witness it.
To be, quote, in the hot seat, which means like we're all in the hot seat all the time. Like that's where am I triggered is where the breakthrough is possible.
Wow.
The hot seat is our life.
Yes.
You're doing such a great job, Jesse. You're leading by being leading example.
Yes.
It's so beautiful to witness. Wow.
Yes.
I'm learning here. Jesse. I'm learning.
Yeah, it's that bridging of the doing and being. It's like that is the miracle. And doing it alone sucks.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did it for years alone, man.
I know.
I listened to Calm, the app.
Yep.
Probably for about 2.5 years straight, every single day. And I did the work of Byron Katie every single day for 1 full year. I'm like, this is great.
It's the Weather Channel.
Yeah, it sucks doing it alone.
It's the Weather Channel, man. It's what everyone else is doing on the Weather Channel. I mean, it's so shallow. Do you see? It's just shallow. There's no aim. There's no intention for a breakthrough. They want. Why do they want to gather? They want to gather to take your money. Red flag number one. Even if they say they're doing it for you,
it's for your money.
There's no judgment in it. That's their thing they're working through.
Yeah.
That's their structure. Our point is to see the structure, create this structure, and my aim is to have a structure that maintains it without me. A fire does that very well.
A real business can be run without you being there.
If it turns to a business.
Yeah. I'm always looking at things through that lens. Business.
Which is an attachment.
Yeah.
In mine too.
Thank you.
But it's also part of the creative side of it. It's like so they go together. It's just how do we rein them into their power? Align, harmony, like all of it, because what we were going for is what our issue is. It's like we have to change how we see it. That's the whole thing. And changing how we see it is breakthroughs.
Yes.
No, it's like the structure. It's like, what's the structure? It's like we gather, right? It's like, oh, that's easy. We get on a Zoom call. Yeah, we either talk about the weather or we talk about breakthroughs. Oh, now shit. Okay, one is the intention of doing the two. The difference between them, because one is I'm just going to do what I always do.
Yeah.
And what helps me, that's why the word of the day is so important for me. Because I like to get your guys' word of the day because it tells me I hear where you are. Now, do I always share where I am? No, but you hear it. You have the opportunity to hear it this like I do.
Yeah.
And I have the opportunity to hear it like you do.
Yeah. Opportunity.
Wow. You're a great teacher, Jesse. Wow.
I'm learning. I'm glad you're satisfied. And the satisfaction is that you guys show up with me.
That'll be $5,000.
Right?
When you teach it, you learn to double, you know?
Yeah, it's
exactly.
I've aimed it at what others aren't teaching, but it's like it comes to what I've always pointed out as my dissatisfaction, but I never had the story of the dissatisfaction. I just was like, no, not that. It was like, well, what's the common denominator here? Is like, well, it's my fight to be right. Shit, I got to let that go. Yet I know I'm right.
Yeah.
I mean, deep down, the truth is I am right. It's just I'm not seeing it the right way. I'm not seeing it for its. And then, of course, if that's true, then I'm putting expectations on it, right? And it's like a constantly being challenged. But then I get to reset every morning with you guys. I get to prepare at night for you guys in the morning. I get to see the creations unfold when I don't have expectations, when I don't have to hit a number, when I don't have to make money.
That is dedication.
It's what I enjoy in the moment. It's like my most important time I would choose to be with you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Jesse.
And thank you, because it's your most important time, because it's my most important time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't hold you to any higher or any lower than that.
Nope.
Wow, man.
And there's an urge inside me that everybody fucking hears it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, what's funny, and then it's like, from me. Damn it, you got me. I mean, the ego is sneaky. The ego is sneaky. And that's what everyone tries to fight it. It's like, no, we have more. When we see it and laugh at it, we can. It's the shortcut. I'm all about shortcuts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the recode is a breakthrough process, right? But it's only a process. It's only a tool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Meditation by yourself is only a tool. This fireside is only a tool. It can only go so far. I don't expect it to go any farther.
Yeah.
But I do.
Oh.
Because my pattern, my habit is always more.
Yeah. Not enough. Must have more.
So it's there. I acknowledge it. And it's just like, oh, but I'm not going to chase it.
Okay.
It's not first. It's not the priority. It just reminds me to come back to ask, well, yeah, what is my priority? Well, yeah, awareness, focus, gather, breakthrough, scatter. And leave that as wide open as I can. And the best formula for me to see that is in charge, like positive, negative, and neutral. So I'm constantly focusing on that. And then the next thing is then listening to what they say and connecting it, right? Like, oh, now that becomes the next skill of it. Yeah. And then the next skill of it, and then facilitating it, demonstrating it, being it in yourself so that you can point it out for others. Then we call that leadership. All have structures. And there is one way to set it up right. In many ways to screw it up.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Is there ever?
So you just never know. Which, like Will, you said, have you ever had like a breakthrough? It's like an alone intuitive vision, like in the state of sleep and dream. I call it a vision of what the purpose of being alone for me opened up the door to say, I don't know. So like those words are so important to me. So anytime I speak about them, right, it just takes me back to that, to my experience.
Cool.
Well, unfortunately, we have to scatter.
Time to scatter. Yeah. Boy, thanks for
this has been amazing, man. Wow. Thank you so much, Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thanks,
everyone.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.
You too, Chi. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah. Thank you. Love you.
All right, love you. Bye.